we good to go, Julie? All right. This is the call to order for the March 4th, 2026 meeting of the Town of Woodside Planning Commission. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Roll call, please.
Chair Weaver,
Present?
Vice Chair Gar.
Here.
Commissioner Evans,
Here.
Commissioner Gonerko,
Here.
Commissioner Tauber.
Are there any changes to the published agenda?
There are no changes to the agenda. There are no desk items. I do want to just take this opportunity to introduce and congratulate our new planning commissioner, Darren Evans, and also congratulate Matt Gar for being reappointed. We have a full group, and that's great, and look forward to many meetings ahead.
Welcome to Darren. We will now open our public communication period for items not on tonight's agenda. This is an opportunity for members of the public to bring up issues of interest to the Town of Woodside and its Planning Commission, but which are not on tonight's published agenda. This is traditionally limited to up to 5 speakers at a maximum of 3 minutes each at the beginning of the meeting. And if there are more speakers than that, that can be deferred to the end of the meeting. But this is for items that are not on tonight's agenda. So given that, is there anyone in the room or on Zoom that would like to speak during the public comment period?
We have no attendees online at the moment.
Okay. Given that, I will close the public comment period and we can move on to the consent calendar, which seems to consist of the approval of the minutes from the February 18th meeting of the Planning Commission. Does anyone in the public, staff, or on the commission wish to make a alteration, correction, elaboration, or other change to the minutes of the February 18th meeting as published? There being no call for changes, the chair would entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I second the motion.
Chair Weaver,
Yes.
Vice Chair Gar,
Yes.
Commissioner Evans,
I think I should abstain since I wasn't here.
Commissioner Gonerko,
He learns fast, yes.
and Commissioner Tauber.
Yes.
We will now move on to the main item on tonight's agenda, which is a application for a variance for a new detached garage at 1583 Kenyatta Lane. And I believe that the staff presenter on this is Kago. So Kago, please go ahead and start us off.
Hello and thank you. I will be introducing the project at 1583 Kenyatta Lane for Planning Commission review. For this review, the applicant requests approval of a variance to the setback requirements for the construction of a new detached garage that would encroach into the required front setback. And this application is categorically exempt under the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, Guidelines 15303, new construction of small structures, including garages. And as the planning director has mentioned earlier, there are no desk items at this time. And to give a quick summary on the property size is 0.88 acres and is in the suburban residential SR zoning district, which has basic setbacks of 50 feet from the front property line, 25 feet from the rear, and 20 feet from the sides of the property line. The overall site is relatively flat on the southwestern portion, inclining through the center and northeastern portions. The elevation ranges from 148 feet on the southern side to approximately 185 feet on the northern side. The site contains an existing one-story single-family residence and existing hardscape that are located on the relatively flat southwestern portion of the site. And as mentioned in the staff report, the project site includes an easement for a public right-of-way at the southern side. And this determination was made by the town's engineering department. And this determination is important for determining lot size for allowable thresholds for floor area and paved area, as well as determining the setbacks from the front. And as mentioned, the applicant is requesting approval of a variance to locate the detached garage within the front setback. As explained earlier, the 30-foot half width of the Kenyatta Lane projects into the front side of the project site. Therefore, the proposed location of the garage would be 1 foot away from the interior boundary of this right-of-way. The proposed location of the garage would require the removal of 3 trees in its vicinity. The proposed garage would be designed in the same style as the existing main residence. And as you can see on the physical materials board on your left-hand side, shows the materials for the proposed garage, including identical exterior materials such as brick, black asphalt roof finishes, and gray stained wood siding color. Here are the elevations for the proposed garage. Here is the existing vantage points from the adjacent Kenyatta Lane and from the private road. Lastly, staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt the draft resolution in attachment 1, making the required findings to approve the variance. And so that concludes my presentation. Staff is happy to answer any questions. Story poles were installed at least 10 days before the hearing date, and the applicant is also here in attendance to answer any questions. Thank you.
Do any members of the commission have questions for staff?
Yeah, I do. It seems like the nature of this whole thing is based on the 30-foot implied sort of right-of-way, right, from Kenyatta, from what I can kind of tell. So, I guess it seems like that's historically, there's records that are kind of there. We think it does exist, but the implied thing was a little bit weird. So, my read of this whole thing is essentially we have a 30-foot setback from the road where the road is. It's unlikely that would ever get built into the implied right-of-way. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it, but is that the right way to look at it? And,
Yeah.
how have other
the
cases on this street been looked at in the past?
so our engineering department, then we have outside consulting surveyors who review all the different documents. Based on what they reviewed, they determined that the easement is there. It wasn't something that was recorded on the property, but given all the different documentation they have, that it is an easement for a road right-of-way. You are correct. There are no plans to widen that road now, and there probably wouldn't be plans to widen that road in any time in the near future for sure. So yeah, it will still, at least for several years, unless something drastic changes out there with road widening and sidewalks and things of that nature, then it would still have that buffer between the roadway and the proposed garage.
Just follow up, have there been other projects with this section that we've come across before, and do we have a precedent?
It's not completely uncommon. You get into older, when lots were cut up, pre-1950, you get a lot of these things coming up from time to time. You get into the Western Hills. There's questions about right-of-way widths. I don't know if anyone was around when 215 Grandview was heard. That was a major topic of that project. And so it does come up from time to time. Before there was a subdivision ordinance, lots were created in different fashions, often just kind of drawing up a deed and getting it recorded at the county, which was a legal way to create a lot back then. And sometimes it's a little bit difficult to find all of those details.
Am I correct in that the official lot line is actually goes over in the road or the entry road?
Yeah, so what's being shown, if you want to pull up the site plan, is yes, you have a 60-foot right of way, and so it usually is 30 feet on one side and 30 feet on the other side. So if you zoom in a little bit, my eyes aren't that good. The property line that is the outer boundary of the 30-foot easement is just right about where the pavement is.
Okay.
You see.
The blue is the property
blue
line?
Right. So, you know, the
Leads a bit into
pavement
the
is
road.
just right around here. And you can see these hatched areas. These are identifying little pockets of 35% slopes. So it's kind of just steeping the road pavement kind of goes right up to where that slope starts to go uphill.
Down at the corner where the garage is supposed to be, that corner trips over the road. Is that correct?
Right here in the corner. Yes. So again, it's a roadway easement, right? So that is something that could exist in that location.
Any other commissioner questions for staff? Go for it.
So it's for Sage, excuse me. Can you bring up that picture to the right of the driveway? Not this part of the lot, but behind the drawing here, behind where it shows. Yeah, that way. Okay. So I'm wondering what is that? It looks like a wall. Is that a retaining wall?
Yeah,
the back.
it's a short kind of rock retaining wall. So right where the existing driveway is, you notice it really slopes upward. Here, the applicants are also contemplating an ADU in the future. That would probably be placed in that portion of the lot. So from this particular portion, yes, this is a kind of a short rock wall. That's
Mhm. So the reason I'm asking, you sort of answered my question. So perhaps there's plans for the ADU in the future, right at that spot. When I visited the site, I had a question, why wasn't the garage put on the right side instead of sticking into the setback?
Yeah, and the applicant can also probably help answer that as well, in terms of what their thought process was. But yes, it's partially that they do have future plans as well as kind of the slope going upward at that portion of the site. And so they chose to keep an area where they typically park their cars today.
All right, those are my questions.
Alex, did you have questions? Well, Richard's question prompted a question from me. I believe that there was mention in the staff report that the goal is to create once the garage is done, to have 4 spaces of off-street parking. Will that meet the requirements for what is built on the property now, or will the construction of a future ADU require that more parking be created?
It depends on the design of the ADU. So if it's a studio apartment, it would not require a parking space. If it's a 1-bedroom or more, it requires 1 parking space. And that simply just has to be something that's in the driveway area.
Yeah, I've seen the driveway. Driveway is fairly wide and probably accommodate a lot more than a few cars to park there, even for the ADU.
That's correct.
Given an absence of further questions for staff, the applicant or the applicant's representative is invited but not required to come and speak and let us know your thoughts and what you're asking for. So feel free to come up to the mic if you wish. You're not required. If you don't have a presentation, whoever you want to designate to come up and field questions, go on up to the mic.
And you can just press that red handle on the mic to adjust the height.
So make yourself
Okay.
comfortable.
Height's okay.
Okay. Questions for the applicant?
So I just had one, doesn't really apply to most of what was talked about, but I saw down the right side, not a stream bed, looks like a way to sort of funnel water. Do you guys ever have any water problems running off the road?
If you could, sorry, it's for recording and people on Zoom, if you could speak to in the microphone.
This is the under.
Great.
The water comes down the hill and it's met in a French drain and it goes underneath the driveway. And that rock wall, creek bed dissipates the water. And if you look at it, it tails off to the right. So if there's any water that makes it that far, then it just trickles down. So no, never had any flooding. The runoff that comes off the property is minimal. We don't have any
Do
big
you get
gushers.
some off the road into your property?
Well, the upper lot, rain comes down over the upper lot and washes down to my house at 1583.
I guess this is, hopefully you're thinking about this, I saw it does go down and make that little curve. I think the curve's underneath the corner of where you want to build. So you may want to
Yeah, it'll have to be
Push it
moved
to-
at the end a little
That's all.
bit. Yeah.
my property has all kinds of water issues and acute awareness. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Question just in terms of choosing the location, Richard asked the question about looking maybe up the hill, maybe just be interesting to kind of learn just your thought process around siting it where it is. And then also, I'm just interested also like with this implied easement, I could see sort of how you just think about the site and how, folks in the neighborhood think about the site as far as, setbacks being. It sort of seems like if you just look at it, you would think it's from the road, right? Versus this easement. I'm just interested in all that and how you thought about the siting. Does that make sense?
Yeah, go for it.
Hi. So we looked at, he currently parks on the driveway where the garage is sited now. And David is planning on doing an ADU. So, and not doing another driveway entrance, basically coming up and then turning up into an ADU. So that is actually in the works. But we also didn't want to locate the garage too far from the house. We did a bunch of kind of turning it a different, kind of turning it. We could do a like exception and try to go to the side. We looked at all that. We just didn't have enough space between the existing house and the garage to turn it a different way. And then if you pull it up too far, it's all you see outside of the existing house. The house, it's listed as being built in 1905. David actually thinks it was built earlier than that. So it was way before the town was incorporated or there was a zoning ordinance or, so that's kind of the main hardship and reason for the variance. And the implied easement, nobody could find an actual recorded easement. So it's implied because everybody kind of assumes it's there, but nobody could actually find a record of it anywhere.
When did all of the implied easement come up in the process? Was it something like started playing and then where did this easement come from or how did that look like?
We started looking, we have to get a title report for this process and the title report didn't have one. And then the survey had an easement shown and it was like so that started kind of the whole discussions of where, and then it became implied and then the city had to kind of do a whole, deep dive and come up with a ruling on it. And everyone kind of uses it assumes it's an easement from the city and the property owner side. So that's why it's labeled implied.
Thank you.
Alex, you have questions for the applicant? Given what Commissioner Gar and Commissioner Evans have already asked, I have no further questions. So given that, we could open the public comment period on this issue. And so is there anyone in the room or online that would wish to speak regarding this item of considering a resolution to grant this variance?
We still have no attendees online.
There being no public comment period, either written via Zoom or live in the room, we will close the public comment period and move on to commissioner discussion. And we will start with Commissioner Evans to welcome him. And
Thanks. Really don't have any comments. I think it's a logical place to put it. Seems like if you're going to add ADU in the future, that's really the only place to go. And you want to have enough space in a garage to be useful. So it seems like a reasonable plan and very well thought through as well.
I think, but also one on the points from Commissioner Evans. I mean, I think to me also, it's a question of how we look at the setbacks, which is why I was asking about, how sure are we about the implied easement, et cetera. And it feels to me like for all intents and purposes, it's set back 30 feet from the road, which I think is what the intent of the setbacks is intended to do in the first place. I agree also that, other siting options don't seem as good. The distance from other structures is large. We don't have any neighbors or desk items who seem concerned with it. So from all those reasons, I can make the findings in this case.
I have very little to add. I mean, I think it's in the right place, and I think it doesn't affect.
Sorry, could you just speak into the microphone? Thank you.
I don't have anything else to add. I mean, I think it's in the right place. It doesn't affect other neighbors, and it's screened from both roads. So one comment and maybe one addition. There are 3 trees, they're mature trees to be taken down. Their canopy is nice, but the canopy is fairly high, so it really doesn't screen anything. It wouldn't have screened anything. My concern is that from the road, there are some shrubs. There are smaller shrubs, not small shrubs, but I don't know. They're 8 feet high. I don't quite remember. I just wanted to stipulate that just to make sure that there is going to be screening, make sure that these shrubs are in good health, and if one is suspect or whatever, just to plant something else that will be permanent, since it's so close to the road.
so, Richard, are you proposing that the draft resolution be tweaked to add that requirement?
Yeah. I see that the owners are nodding their head would be.
Is that allowable, Sage?
Sorry, what'd you say? Yeah, we could amend the draft resolution. You could add a condition to the project if to ensure that any of the existing vegetation that is not within the footprint of the building gets retained to the extent feasible. Obviously, there'll be some little grading around that area.
Is that language acceptable to you, Richard, or do you want to try your own?
No, I'm sure Sage can articulate it well.
I guess my only comment on that would be, if the intent is the screening, just maybe we put the condition talking about screening rather than necessarily the existing vegetation. Like if the existing vegetation is.
No, I meant that, if there's any lack in the existing vegetation, that the screening should be inspected and approved.
There is a, looks like utility boxes on the ground.
There's what?
There's some utility boxes or something on the ground that between the road and where the structure would be. So if they may not have a whole lot of space to get too fancy with the shrubs or the vegetation, it's a question really. If you want to require stuff in there, we have to make sure there's space to put it. And what are those things that are on the ground behind in the corner there?
Oh, the boxes underground?
They're like metal plates.
In the road or?
Between the road and where your building would be.
Yeah, please come up to the microphone just so we have it for the record.
Those boxes, they're labeled, there's two electric boxes and one looks like a cable TV box.
Okay. I'll just make sure that whatever we say doesn't make them interfere with those boxes.
We could, if looking for a condition, could provide a new condition 1E. That's prior to the issuance of a building permit, the applicant shall submit, and then updated plans indicating to retain the existing vegetation adjacent to the roadway. If the vegetation needs to be removed, it shall be replaced with other screening vegetation.
That,
I probably planted somewhere around 90 trees and shrubs on the, big shrubs on the property. Whoops. Bail me out here. No, we're going to end up, every shrub that comes out of the ground, if it's in where the footprint of the garage, it's going to get transplanted to other areas. So I won't destroy any trees. I'll actually transplant every one that comes out of the ground.
Those two big oaks you're going to transplant?
I'm sorry?
Those two big oaks? No.
No, they're coming down. The one big oak, there's just one big oak there. And it's pretty in poor shape, as the arborist said. It's dangerous. So, yes.
Also, the owner is interested, there's an oak and a redwood that's right as you back out of the garage on the side. We've shown them as being removed, but he, for the record, is going to see if he can try to keep them. It's just kind of a worst case scenario with the backup and the cut of the driveway, but he would like to maintain them as well. I think he's also willing to put more shrubs behind the new garage once it's up.
That was my point. Yes.
And yeah, he wants his property screened as well. So that would be a perfectly fine condition for us.
Yeah. Those utilities are probably in concrete boxes, so, small roots from shrubs are not going to interfere.
Right.
I mean,
And there's
trees.
looks like there's room between the garage and where they are.
Yeah, and those trees have large roots, and I'm sure they make their way a lot more invasively than just shrubs.
So I want to maybe make another point on this though, which is, so if we're talking about basically a 30-foot setback from the road, that's all within the 30-foot defensible space zone. So if I don't know, I don't necessarily feel comfortable requiring like planning that we keep vegetation in an area where fire may well say like that needs to be taken out anyway, right? Because there's a 5-foot dead zone, and then beyond there's like everything's actually supposed to be cleared up to 6 feet high. So that vegetation is actually like non-compliant given what fire would come and say.
that's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we have an applicant who is kind of committed to keeping the vegetation there to the extent feasible, it'd be up to the planning commission if they want to add a condition.
This week, I forget the name of the company, but they've been putting in utilities right along Kenyatta Lane. And anytime a utility goes in, they don't go more than maybe this far off of the road. So there's like 2 or 3 layers of shrubs in between that area and the property line. So, and the shrubs they grow to about 18 foot tall, and they're really dense when they grow. And I think it'll look good.
To leave this as is.
Given the fact that in 2026, we're steering between the fire district and the more traditional woodside style of nestling buildings and shrubbery, I'd be inclined to leave it as is and rely on the applicant's goodwill and trying to work it out as best he can with the fire district, which I think is an evolving standard none of us understand.
I would second that. That's fine. I see that the applicants are quite amenable to screen the property in a proper way, and that's fine with me.
If we're headed towards a consensus, the chair would entertain motions.
Would make a or I would make a motion to approve the resolution as presented.
Chair Weaver,
Yes.
Vice Chair Gar,
Yes.
Commissioner Evans, Commissioner Gonarco,
Yes.
Commissioner Tauber.
Yes.
So approved. Good luck. Enjoy your new garage. And if you crack the code with dealing with the fire districts and they do the inspections, share your experience with us.
Yep.
Sage, do you have anything for us tonight?
There's no director's report, as we haven't finished, well, we just wrapped up February. So we'll have that at the next meeting. The town is completing its housing element annual report that will get submitted to HCD. That will go before the council on March 10th. And Julie will reach out to you about next meeting, which is April 1st. I believe it's also the first day of Passover. So we're going to look to make sure we're looking at in April is when we switch the chair and vice chair, and we may not have all commissioners at that first meeting. So we want to make sure all commissioners are available when we take that action. So Julie will reach out. We're going to look at the first if we move it a week, if people will be available, or if we just focus on the second meeting in April. But we'll have that information probably by next week at the latest.
Yeah, those of us that have school-age children, there's usually a spring break, either first or second week. And
There is in the San Francisco district, it's spring break that week.
Yeah, the Woodside Spring Break is the following week. So the first week should be here.
Okay, so that's also good to know for us as well if we're looking to reschedule, because that may
but
conflict.
Julie will reach out and get a poll going. And
6 to 10.
Yep.
Actually, I was not here at the last one because of the last break.
Right.
Might be good.
Okay, so that's it. I have nothing further to add.
Just brief question with some of the recent personnel changes. Is there any changes to existing business, like things that have gotten pushed, rescheduled, et cetera?
The council schedules are just being set up and looking at, what can on each agenda, but otherwise, yeah, no, it's business as usual.
No changes to housing element, things that were interrupted, et cetera.
No, everything there is just on track, and that report should be released by tomorrow, if not the latest Friday. In terms of the report going to the council on March 10th for the housing element report. So that will be on the, we have to submit to HCD by April 1st of each year. And so there's the general plan report card, which goes through all of the elements, but the housing element is a separate one, given that has much more detailed information and a different format that's required by HCD. So if you're interested, that report will be available by the end of this week.
Okay.
And it has it's a series of Excel sheets, a few of which don't apply necessarily to Woodside. So you'll see those will be blank, but the primary ones list all the permits issued, identified by address. And it outlines the number and income levels.
Sage, I've got a question for you. The work, the road work, and I guess the utility work on High Street, does that have anything to do with the
No, not at all. So I'm not, I know the Public Works Director is much more familiar with it, but that is not any direct relation to that site on High Street. High Road.
all right, given that, we will close tonight's meeting. Thank you very much, everyone.